I see both sides of that. You leave the country, but you brought everything that was not working for you back there with you here. We don't want you here in that state.
Hey, thank you for being with us today. I am Rashida Dow. I am a co-founder of Exodus Summit, and I'm here today to talk to someone who lives in Ecuador and builds intentional communities in Ecuador. Before I get to her, I'm going to hand it over to my co-founder of Exodus Summit.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Perry. I'm the co-creator of Exodus Summit, which is a space for Black women and their families who are interested in moving abroad, interested in taking a sabbatical, interested in bopping around the world, interested in living their lives a different way. Make sure that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel because once you hear this conversation, you're going to want to be all in. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss what we have coming. But this conversation is going to be really interesting. I can't wait to have it. Please say hello to our special guest. Hi, LaRahna Hughes.
Hi, good day. How are you guys doing today? It's a pleasure to be here with you all. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
We are so excited to have you here with us because you are going to talk to us, we hope. We're going to ask you questions about things that we really want to know. Stephanie and I, I'm going to toot my own horn for a minute. We do an amazing job creating online communities of Black women who want to move abroad and take career breaks. But you are actually on the ground creating in-person communities. And that's something that blows my mind. So first of all, let's back it up real quick. How did you end up in Cuenca, Ecuador?
Well, about 2 years ago, it was April 2 years ago, and I felt done. I felt done. You get to that point in life where you've learned the lessons, you're ready, and change is what you've been working towards. And one of the things that I had been working towards, literally, is having freedom. And for me, that included having the freedom of my time. Part of that first was learning some of those lessons about having the freedom to love. And that really tied into healing. That I don't care what you do, I have the ability to be the person that I choose to be. And if I choose to be a loving person, you can go sideways. You can go sideways on me. And if I do my healing work, I have the capacity to be loving to you. Now I'm gonna set some boundaries. You're not gonna occupy my time and my space and my energy, but I wanna be free so that I get to be the person that I've chosen to be, not because you've triggered me or outside factors, as much as possible. The second part of that, though, was I want to own my time.
Yes.
I want to own 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of my time. Now, granted, I could have had the freedom of my time. I would have been homeless probably. I wanted to have the freedom of my time and my picture of a comfortable life. Life that feels comfortable to me, life that feels the way I want it to feel. And that's subjective. Me, hot water is my non-negotiable. I don't want to be nowhere where there's not hot water. Just a whole lot of other things could not be there in life, but I'm gonna have hot water because that's just my preference. But it was taking the time, doing the work to really ask myself those questions. And I decided I want to be retired right now. I want to be retired now. I'm done. I want to be retired. What can I do? And the reason is not just to be retired. I got stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
I got passion projects. I've been building up on some of these projects I'm launching now for 25 years. I've been in this work for a long time of how to heal community. I want to do it now while I got the energy. I'm going to get older and I want to be able to give goodness to the things that I'm passionate about, not other folks. I want to be able to give the energy and the time to that. And so I decided, what do you need to do to make that happen?
And this was 2 years ago. How old were you then?
49.
49. Okay.
49 years old. At the time, I was doing things that I enjoyed. My last vocation, I've been a lot of things, but my last vocation, I was a farmer. I was a single black female farmer in South Carolina, running a farm and a farm-to-table restaurant and some other spinoff things, because I like to do stuff that I want to do. So we had a campground for teaching survival training. We had a shooting range for teaching women how to properly use firearms if they choose. No judgment. If you choose to, know how to use it. Don't be playing because it's cute and it's pink and you don't know how to use it, and you end up putting yourself in a situation to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. We had a drive-in theater. It was COVID happened in the midst of this. We had a bubble ball soccer field. So things that kept me entertained in life. But also, commerce is real because we still live in a cash economy. Yeah. And as I began to make the change, the first thing I said is, I'm too whole life exhausted from living life this way. First thing I need to do is rest. And I promised myself, my kids said, Mom, what you gonna do? You're too young to retire. I said, show me where that's written. Show me. If not, this is what I'm going to do. And I said, but I understand. I'm a solutionist. I'm practical. I need rest. Don't be jumping into no decisions. I said, I'm going to take a gap year.
Good.
I'm going to take a gap year. I'm not going to start no new projects because I start projects like hobbies. Don't start no new major projects. Take a year. Because once you make this break and end one chapter, you need time to revision life. Take all of those passions and the vision. You need some time to rest. And then you need to revision what you want. You can't come out of this all fuzzy headed, your mind's all clouded because you got stuff, you got weight on you from ending something. Take time. And so I said, I made myself a promise. I don't care what happens. I'm gonna take a year to rest and revision, and then from that new vision, plot out what I want life to be. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna figure out where I want to do that at.
Yes.
One,
Black women, LaRahna's talking to you, friends. Excuse me, Black women, she's talking to you, okay? We are good at, you said that you were good at starting projects. You were good at doing things. But we have to become good at not doing things. We have to become good at prioritizing rest and actually doing rest, not just talking about it, right? Not just sharing people's posts about rest, but actually resting. And that's a skill that you have to acquire. If you don't have it yet, you have to acquire that, learn it, do it in your life, because you can go from one thing to the next and never really be in like a peace mode, never really be in like a chill mode, always be in the doing and working and hard work mode.
And for some people, it feels like there's no, like when they stop doing the thing. So like LaRahna said, you stop working, you got to fill that hole with something else. Yeah. But because resting feels so foreign, but until you start to rest is always going to feel foreign. It's always going to be like, oh, but my to-do list, oh, but I got to do this, oh, but I got to do that. Until you learn just to sit in peace with nothing on your mind, with no, I have to take care of these 4 or 5 other people. Until you learn to rest, until you practice rest, you'll never get good at rest. So right. Did you get good at rest, LaRahna, or did you pick up?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent at it, and I'm getting better.
Okay.
Because part of it was that sometimes, even when we're making progress in life, I'm talking about emotional progress, spiritual progress, if we're not careful, if we're not intentional, the things we will occupy our time with, if we do it before we get rested and have time to really revision, will be the things that become our drugs of choice in life. The busyness will become the drug of choice. And so we'll be leaving location, but you live in the same life somewhere else. Yeah. I see both sides of that. You leave the country, but you brought everything that was not working for you back there with you here. We don't want you here in that state. We want you to let go of those things that made life not feel life embracing and loving and passionate for you. And again, everything I do circles around to healing, because if you don't fix those fears and the insecurities and the guilt trips, then you will use even leaving as something that's going to feed your ego and actually make you worse. Yeah. And so you'll miss the richness of the opportunities that having the world open to you gives you. All of my children are grown. They're independent. They've got families of their own. I could literally be anywhere in the world with nobody to be responsible except for me. And I'm like an unsupervised child down here. When I began to realize that, then there's responsibility that comes with it, because I have to say, well, then what do you want?
Yeah.
Well, if I had some money, that's fear talking. What do you really want? Maybe it's practical, maybe it's not, but let's start with what you really want. Let's start with you getting honest first. Yeah. I take the medicine that I use. Heal first, fix your fears, and then see what stops you from doing the stuff you really want to do. And I take that literally. I had to work on my fears. As a woman, I've been self-employed most of my life. I came out of the tax industry and went into consultancy and spent decades in consultancy before I got into some of the other things for various reasons. Integrated community development planning was what I did in consulting. How do you do all these moving parts and get community working right again? Okay. How do you build the bridge to get to a better way of doing life? Part of this is about, is it working for you? Because don't tell me fake it till you make it is the old paradigm. Don't talk about stuff that don't work and you don't know if it works and you're not even going to take your own medicine. Does it work for you? Well, LaRahna, what fears were you dealing with? Money, enough, taking care of myself, worthiness. I'm working 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. I got a full-time staff and a wonderful kitchen. I got the best food that's available. And you had 2 cups of coffee all day and it's 9 o'clock at night and you haven't eaten nothing today. Something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with you. What are the fears that are working as your drug of choice in life that's keeping you from doing, in a logical mind, what makes sense to do? Take care of yourself. Your responsibility. Who else is responsible for you? Nobody's obligated. There's people that volunteer to be responsible for me in various parts of my life, but I'm responsible for me.
Yes.
And you ain't doing the basics like eating and drinking your water. Something's wrong. So, LaRahna, did you fix those fears? I hit the brick wall first, blew my knees out to the point where the doctor said, you too young to have your knee replaced. What you mean too young? It's gone. No cartilage, bones are on bone, rubbing and cracking up against each other. What do you mean? And then to realize that my fears were going to take my body out.
Yeah.
Those drugs of choices, the independence, the ability to work at that kind of pace.
Yeah.
And make it look easy to people on the outside so they don't realize the damage you're doing to yourself. Once I dealt with the basket of stuff, enough of them, not all of it, because I got issues. I'm still working through issues in life. It's a lifestyle. But once I got past enough of those fears to say, what do you really want? I want my freedom and I want it now.
So can you tell us, LaRahna, what that year actually looked like? Did you go straight to Ecuador? Were you somewhere else?
I said, I'm going to find me some new retirement hobbies. That's what I'm going to do first. I went to the Harley Davidson Riders Academy and learned how to ride Harley Davidsons. I went to Honduras and decided that I was going to take up scuba diving, and I did my research, and it was cheaper for me to leave South Carolina, go all the way to Honduras and get my certification than to do it with a company in Augusta, Georgia, which was right across the river. I said, how is it cheaper for me to go to Honduras? I'm going to Honduras. That just makes good sense to me. I began to do that. And then I began to put together the list of what I really wanted. I wanted a place, first of all, the first thing that came to my mind that felt honest. I want a place that feels like the least resistance to healing.
Okay.
I got to get this body together. I've done the damage. I know the damage, some of the damage I've done. I got to get this body together and I want the least resistance for that. But then I started to think about other things that I really want. Culture, music, food, the richness of that. There's some prophecies in South America. There's some shamans that I want to go interview and do work with. There's other things that I know are particular to me. I'm a tinkerer. I like lots of different options around me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hot and I don't want to be cold. Yes. I grew up in Northern California. We didn't have humidity, and I'm a Southern transplant, been all my adult life in the South, and humidity never feels good to me. Okay. I don't want not another 100 degrees with 99.5% humidity summer. I recognize that about myself, and that's serious. You know, people think I'm joking. No, I'm dead serious. I know my ideal temperature is 74 degrees. I know that about myself because I've taken the time. I want to wear flip-flops and sarongs with as much of this chapter going forward in my life as I possibly can, like literally. And so I said, and I'm going to go look at all different places that I think might begin to fit that. And I'll feel it when I get there.
Okay.
I'll know what it feels. It's going to feel beautiful. It's going to feel like a place I want to live. Mm-hmm. And as I began exploring the different countries, I thought about Mexico. That didn't feel good to me. I started thinking about Panama and Costa Rica. I looked at Honduras. That did not feel good after some exploration there. And then life happened. And I'm liquidating all the stuff on the farm. And I had a lawnmower. And there was a young boy, whole story behind that, but he needed a lawnmower, at least could use one. And I said, I'm going to give you mine, and I'm going to see if I can find some more to encourage you to do something that you're doing that I fully support. Young man trying to start his business. He's 14 years old. He's willing to work for the money that he wants to have. I'm on that. And I found a lady who was giving a lawnmower away for free, because that fits my budget. And I said, can I have it? And I told her the story, and she says, absolutely. I'll be a co-instigator on that. Let me get on this goodness. And as that was happening those days, something kept coming up on my screen. I'm looking for places that fit my budget and whoop, whoop, whoop. And Ecuador. I said, I don't even really know where Ecuador is. Let me pull the map out. Oh, it's on the Pacific coast. Well, that might be nice. And this lady, as I'm telling her my story, And this lawnmower, where you going? I don't know. I'm taking a gap year. But Ecuador has come up this week, and she gasps and says, we lived 7 years there. And we didn't have insurance, and my husband had a health issue and needed to come back because our insurance was with Medicare, da 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 da. Story about that. And I said, that's my life. Something comes up, and it comes up a couple of times, and then somebody says something. I'm gonna check it out. And so what I did was I booked a trip to Costa Rica because that was next on my. I'm going to Costa Rica next month, and they canceled about a week later. They canceled the entire flight. You ain't got no more ticket to Costa Rica. Here's your money back. And I said to myself, in that instant, I guess I wasn't supposed to be going to Costa Rica. I guess I'm supposed to be going to Ecuador. And I just rebooked a ticket because I'm going somewhere. I rebooked a ticket to Ecuador. I planned a month. That was September 2 years ago. And I had, in my mind, because I'm thorough, I had looked at some cities. I had planned a loose itinerary. And part of it was, is this where you would want to live? And as I began to go through several cities, I did the coastal route first, Guayaquil, Salinas, Puerto Lopez, with scuba diving out on, they call it Poor Man's Galapagos, Isla de la Plata. I saw the sites and I kept saying, is this where you want to live? It's way, 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 way out. You ain't got no stores and no thing. There's some comforts that I want and some conveniences, and knowing that this is my first step out of the country, like how do you furnish your place? And the store is hours away. What, you guys have humidity and heat? Oh, no, absolutely not. No. When I got to Cuenca, though, I got in at 3 o'clock in the morning and went to my place to check in. And as the day began, I said, okay, I need to go get something to eat. And I walked out, and there were several things. One, I was on this plaza that's in the middle of the downtown area, El Centro. And it felt, people started moving. There was a buzz to it. And as I looked out my window over this plaza, I'm seeing people just moving in a way that just magical. And I walk out in this plaza, and it looks like National Geographic. The pictures of the Incans and Peruvians and people from that heritage and the clothing that they wear. And I'm seeing little old ladies sitting on the stoop shelling peas. They different kind of peas that I was more familiar with. And I see a man with 5 goats in this plaza. I retired as a farmer. That excited me. But as I'm watching this and kind of letting it just flood over me, I see this very modern light rail snake through this plaza. The old and the new. Sankofa, the symbology of Sankofa is important to me because I think it says the message. You got to go back and get some stuff to be able to go forward. These indigenous people, these indigenous ways, the way they handle themselves, each other, the earth, the food, the air, the water. There's something about that we need because we done got so sophisticated. The old folks used to say you done got some education and now you too high and mighty to realize common sense kind of stuff. That kind of feel is what Sankofa is about, that you need some of this. And as I began to explore this city, it felt beautiful to me. It felt beautiful. And I said, does this feel like a place you'd like to live? Within a couple of days, I said, Y'all got jazz, blues, food, this, that, the other, all that. And I could do this on what kind of budget? You said that light rail is 35 cents a trip?
Ooh.
The bus is 30 cents a trip? Excuse me? Because I had looked and I see the rentals. What you mean $300 for a rental? I see the building, I see the condo, and it's 3-bedroom and some of them furnished. What you talking about? I don't understand. Your number, there must be some conversion, something lost in the conversion. Oh, wait, these are US dollars? wait a minute, I understand US dollars. You said that was 25 cents? I know what a quarter is, US dollars. No translation. Other places, what exchange rate you're going to get today? Today's money might be different than tomorrow's money, but wait a minute, this is US dollars. I understand real good numbers is my thing. Wait a minute. And it felt beautiful. And then life. I'd met some people because I'd made some relationships online. One of them hosted me for a couple of the days that I was there, or at least offered that. And I took the offer at one point. And then I said, my plan was when you find your spot, then you go home, plan, come back and find housing.
Okay.
Before I left, just on a casual, we were getting ready to have breakfast. And they said, the second floor flat has just come open. No pressure. If you're just looking for something, I said, I'm going to see. She said, the door's unlocked. Go look. And I started looking. I got a video. It's on my YouTube. It was for my daughter. One of my daughters that's in Atlanta. You know, these adult children, and you can just be extra special with them because they know it's the truth. And they, you know, what can they do? I'm taking this video saying, here's a bedroom. Here's another bedroom. And the last project on my farm, I built tiny cabins, guest sized tiny cabins. And I lived in that full time. The bathrooms as big as my tiny house was. How much did you say that was? Because I've learned in business, don't flinch. Listen, take it in. But when you're in business and you're a woman and you're in circumstances where women may not be operating and people, you know the deal. You've had some experiences that probably feel like that in your version. Don't flinch. How much did you say? What would it take? What if I were interested? What would it take? And the gentleman that was kind of helping me used to be the neighbor downstairs. He said, just say you're interested. Okay, I'm going to be real specific. So I'm interested. What would be the next thing to do? He said, hold on. And 15 minutes later, the owner was standing there and he's helping me because my Spanish 2 years ago was a whole lot more immature than it has grown up to be now. It's still a little raggedy, but it's very functional. And within 15 minutes, this man had vouched for me. I think she's a good woman and she's retired and she ain't got no babies tearing up the space. And, all her children are adults and I think she'd be good. And the man says, okay, I'll rent it to her. And he walks off. So is there an application process? Is there some paperwork? Is there, what do you mean? And the man that was helping me, he said, didn't you say you had a man as money tonight? Is that what you said? Yeah, I meant that. I brought some cards. So in case, you get into something, I need to hit this card for some and hit this, because you don't know what's going to work and how it's going to work. And can you get cash out? And I don't want to be, stuck nowhere. He said, get the man his money. He'll have you the key. The place is unlocked now, but he'll have you the keys for you leave the country. Go get the man his money. Well, but our, deposits on the insurance and the utilities, he said, ain't none of that. They're going to give you a number and you just go to the Western Union and pay them folk their money on the 15th of the month. Sometimes they don't have the bills posted by the 15th. So you may have to wait a couple of days. That's all you do.
So you asked for least resistance, right? You asked for the place
for resistance. And now you're like, wait, that's too smooth.
You didn't ask me if I had no money in the bank, no income. Do I have a job? Do I have a visa? You ain't asked me none of that.
Cash.
Things that people think, if you are operating on your fear, you won't even start moving. Because of those fears. And then pushing past those fears for me always says, good thing you did that work on them fears, because if those fears had stopped you, you wouldn't have understood how easy it was. Now, easy is relative. I'm not talking that it's easy, because packing up, leaving to a foreign country where you do not speak the language nor know anyone outside of these newfound internet friends is a big deal. But when we think about a big deal, I've moved before. You go to the place you're going to move and you find housing. Ain't none of it been this easy. You got to have documents. If I went back to the States right now, they'd ask me for documentation that showed that I had at least 3 times the rental amount in income, that my credit score was at least $600, that nobody has ever filed an eviction, not even filed against me, to even be able to have the conversation. And that was after they took some money for me to fill out their paperwork for them to tell me that I may or may not qualify. It would take all of that. Emotional energy. My energy is my currency. And some things are expensive.
All right.
This, when I talk about expense, what do you mean? That's it. I brought him his money. I guess I live in Cuenca now.
All right. So I want to talk to you about your life in Cuenca. What does your current life in Cuenca look like? What do you're a builder. You got a hobby. You got the hobbies. Talk about how you started and what your life looks like now, how it's developed.
The biggest change, literally every single day, I can get up. And every single day I can say, what do you really want to do today? Period. Yeah. That's my life. Yeah. What do you want to do today? And I have some big projects going on and I still get to say that, because guess what? They will move at the pace that I want them to move. Yeah. And I mean that literally.
And that's
I don't,
freedom.
some days I don't want to do nothing today. And then I sit here all by myself, be chuckling. I guess that's what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to sit here. I'm going to flip through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I got 4 books I'm reading. I got a crochet project. I'm thinking about a quilt project. I got 2 building projects we're working on, permits with that. I might write something. I might do a podcast. Are you going to do no editing? Heck no. You ain't just put that energy into that. I got a ceramics class going on this month. I might do literally Fridays at 12 o'clock. I have a standing appointment on my calendar. It's Frisbee Friday. I go to the park and play with my friends. I play Frisbee with my friends at the park at 12 o'clock. It's one of the few standing appointments I have. I have 3 standing appointments on my calendar each month. That is one of them because I can. Halftime, I don't even play. I'll be sitting on the bench with everybody else. A lot of the expats, American and European expats that's down here, it's just an opportunity to get together. And sometimes we play hard. We instigate play with everybody at the park. Got a whole duffel bag full of frisbees, and we go out and we play frisbee because we can. Literally, part of healing community. This is LaRahna's philosophy, chapter 3, verse 75. If we help people heal the fears, the guilt trips, and the insecurities, and we connected people help them live the lives that they truly want to live. Because you got to heal first. You can't just go live the life you want to, because you'll live that garbage, things that are destructive to you. So you got to do the healing first. And then we can help you. My first career, I was a business development consultant. I work with small businesses, nonprofits, and faith organizations, developing businesses, taking your vision and putting it into practical, what you got in your pocket, what tools you got, how much money you got. Let us create a path to get to that vision. But you got to fix the stuff first, or else the vision will be a tainted vision. It'll be based on your fears. Well, I got to make this money. Well, how much does your freedom cost? How much money do you need to make? You don't even know what your freedom costs. How you fix the stuff first. Then, if we have people who are living lives that feel that kind of passion, my passion is different from other folks' passion. But if we have people that have done that work to heal, so their passions are about love, self-love, and giving that best to the world, we begin changing, because some of those people are going to be solutionists that say part of my passion is fixing this hot mess that we got. Because I don't care what the crash and burn is going to be. It's like the phoenix. After the crash and burn, who going to fix it? Who going to come back and rebuild society in a better way? Part of what this center is called is the International Welcome Center, but the website to get to that information is www.globalundergroundrailroad.com. Intentionally, as Black people specifically, there is some understanding, Sankofa. There were some people that understood that this system wasn't feeling good to them. However, the system wasn't dead yet, but they said, I got to have my freedom now. I can't wait. Some of us are a little impatient with those kind of things. And they said, we're going to get our freedom now, whatever it takes. We're in the same situation. The slavery just looks different, but there's a lot of people living in bondage. If you get up in the morning and you go do something that you really don't want to do, because you're chasing the dollars, we understand practicality of how we own this hamster wheel. It's hard to get off. If we understand that, and all you have is tools for the old paradigm, and you don't go get you some new tools on how to live differently, on how to do life differently, then what you'll do is you'll bring that. You'll be ill-equipped to go live a new kind of existence. You won't be prepared for your freedom. We understand that on so many levels. Part of my professional career, I worked as a historian, studying one of the Black communities that was a Reconstruction community right out of slavery. How did they thrive and what was their decline? It's a community called Pleasant Hill in Macon, Georgia. I had the opportunity to work with. We understand what it's like to be coming out of slavery ill prepared. We understood community because we had to. Crisis shifted our paradigm. We understood we had to stick together because you needed that buffer against the rest of the world who was doing things differently. They wanted you to be their slave.
Yes.
We're talking about the exact same thing. It's bondage. If life is feeling like bondage and you don't go get a better way of doing it, then all you'll do is perpetuate that bondage, because sometimes it's us too. It's us too. It's the systems, but it's us too causing the trauma and the drama in our lives. And so part of this is about understanding that. And this has been my passion. It started as a mental game. How do you fix it? You do integrated solution building for community, lots of moving plates. How do you fix it? And where do you start? You start with healing, because nothing else helps you do it better, faster, deeper. Fix the fear, fix the guilt, fix the insecurity. Then let me help you do the thing that you now want to value, that you value to do. And that's really what this work is about. It's about saying there's some folks that want freedom now,
Yes.
whatever that means to you individually. But I understand, this has been my work. It's hard to do it by yourself. It's hard to do it without the proper tools. And sometimes you don't even know the tools you need to have.
That's right.
And so part of this is, in a real way, what would that look if we first go find some better tools, better ways of doing community, better ways of doing healing? And what if we put all that together? Because the practicality of that, you got to have roof over your head and food on the table. That's real.
Yeah.
How can we help people that value to do that? And that comes into what we're doing with our Women Heal Together initiative.
So let's talk about a couple of different resources then. So women are watching this video right now and they're like, she's talking about me. Okay. So where do I go to get this? And what are we actually talking about? So let's talk about a couple of different resources that we want to point women to who are watching this. We want to point them to your community. We also want to talk about the Exodus Summit that's coming up as well. Can you tell us, you talked about the ethos, is that the word? The mission behind your community, but tell us what it is and who it's for and what it helps people do tangibly.
So the physical aspects of it, we have a healing center here in Cuenca, Ecuador. I'm in a sector called Capulispamba, right on the Rio Tomibamba River. It's one of the main rivers that comes through this area and goes down to the Amazon. We have a total of 8 guest bedrooms here in the center. 4 of them are private suites with an in-suite bathroom. We've got a basic gym facility upstairs in the guest house. We have 2 units. One of them, the guest house, is completely separate. So it gives the opportunity to do lots of things, from co-housing to family and group retreats and things like that. We have a capacity here of 14, but we have a network now where we have 2 other allies in the community where we can house up to 78 people at any given time.
You said 78?
78. Wow.
Throughout Cuenca, like throughout the city.
Yeah. So I've got one friend that has an eco village with cabins, and we've got a negotiated rate for any overflow kind of events that are bigger than what I can do here. We've got another friend that's got a hostel right in town as well. And so with these 3 facilities combined, we can do events up to 78 people here within our facilities, because part of that is economics. Keep those monies in the network because we got stuff to do. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff takes money to do. So, and we use the spaces in all different kinds of ways. There's a lot of applications for the space and why that's configured. We do healing retreats, so people that can come 1 week. We rent it out when we're not using it for something, for just unhosted guests that want a space. But we're also looking for people that want to come live in community, either full and part-time, and come and partner with this work. Other various healing modalities that want to partner. We have a retreat matrix on the economics of how to be able to have an income stream. So it's geared for partnerships and collaborations. That's part of the foundation, in a way that we don't have to all spend the money on the same thing over and over again, because that ain't efficient. And so individuals who are doing retreats, we want them to use the space. Individuals that are looking to come to Cuenca and just play, we want you to use the space. Individuals that want to do the healing work, our leadership training, various things that people can see on the social platforms and the different tentacles of what we've got to do. So we're located in a city that has about 600,000 people. So this is not a small town. It's one of the 3 largest cities in Ecuador. I think it's the 3rd. Cuenca, Ecuador takes a little time to get to. Our airport is not an international, so it's always a hop in the country and then get here. So Guayaquil is oftentimes where I fly in and out of. Okay. We're in South America, on the Pacific coast side of South America, in a Spanish-speaking country that uses the US dollars. So that's the physical parts of where I am, what we're doing. We're building one intentional community on the coast. And then another one back in the States in Georgia that's slated. We're in permitting process for that one as well. So the intentional community movement really, for me, connected some years ago because it gives you a manageable microcosm because you got to learn how to live differently. You got to
Yeah.
learn how to live it.
Can you
And
explain
so
to us? Can you explain to us what is an intentional community? What's the difference between that and like a commune or like a something or just a neighborhood?
sometimes it's just the way people use the words. For me, convertible communities is a concept that I began working on some years ago, and it's a community that intentionally deals with the social sustainability, the physical sustainability, and crisis management. If you put all those things together and intelligently design communities, then you get a bigger bang for your buck. Me specifically, the convertible community concept says healing first. Healing first, because you'll bring your garbage in if you won't do that. And it'll take too much energy from me, too much of my life currency, spending, interacting with you, because you're going to traumatize me.
That's
And
right.
so it's a healing first. The convertible community concept, which is what we're building, is a healing first, intelligently designed communities that can take the best of the appropriate technology we have so they can run fully off grid, depending on the design. Our designs do design to be able to run fully off grid using sustainable resources. They need to be affordable because that's real. It's not a practical solution for most if it's not affordable. You can build posh neighborhoods that only a certain segment can afford to have those privileges of living a decent, comfortable life. Part of it is we're trying to create solutions for most, and it's got to be affordable if it's going to be a solution for most. So we take all of those factors in and says we can do it a whole lot easier if we just build from scratch. It's too hard to try to retrofit other people's messes. It's too hard to fix the problems that are innately into some of the systems of how we do things. For instance, in some counties in the States, you cannot legally be fully off grid. You got to be grid tied to something. Even if you don't use it, you got to be physically grid tied to the grid to be able to get your permitting and your occupancy. Well, that's the bureaucracy. Thousands of dollars to just get a permit. So there's a whole lot of factors, and we realized if we just start from scratch, we ain't got to answer to all of those things. That's nonsense, and we ain't got to do it either because we don't want to do stuff we don't want to do. And so the project in Georgia, in Central Georgia, happens to be in a county that gives us great leeway. It's a county that does not enforce building codes. We're building better than international building codes, but the idea that any of those things that does not seem reasonable, efficient, we ain't got to do it.
Okay.
That feels like freedom to me.
Now,
so they're physical spaces.
I love that. You mentioned earlier, but you have multiple tentacles. For anyone who's interested in any of the tentacles, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Our collaboration page is nowastedtime.com.
Nowastedtime.com. Okay.
And the meaning behind that is that as you begin to heal and as you begin to get back to your truth, everything in your life can be used. Every experience, good or bad, none of it's wasted. But it's only when you connect with your purpose. It's only when you connect with your truth and only when you connect with your passions. And so that literally is that if you want none of your life to be wasted, take that stuff off, get true, get honest, get reconnected with your passions. And so all of the tentacles, articles, the different websites that talk about the different initiatives and projects, there's probably 20 some articles, there's links. One of the things that we do is we put all the healing tools online for free. We're not gonna hoard healing, go get it. Go get it. Now you can't come down here for free because it costs money. It costs money for you to have these excursions and do the other things and the time and the energy. But part of it was, it's got to match my values. My values say, if you want to heal, doggone it, we should help you. And so I've been recording each month. If someone wants some healing and they can't afford to pay, I say, well, can you record it? This is alternative commerce. Let me record it and I'll give you the training so that I can let others have this without it costing me my energy over and over and over again. And so even that link is on there where people can go start using the tools that we teach to see if it works. It ain't a solution for everyone, but it's a solution for some. Yes. And part of the work, 25 years of work has been, we have to find healing tools that are solutions for most.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And so we put all that out there because being in that mind where we don't have to chase those dollars anymore, I can do what I want to. And part of it is I want people to heal. I want them to heal. I need them to heal for my grandchildren's sake. Right. I need them to heal. I need them to have a better place to live, better solutions for life instead of wasting your life just fighting the system and just keeping your defenses up. No, we need to find ways. And part of this is that makes it complicated because it's all these moving parts, but I'm gonna do the parts that I can do, the parts that I feel called to do. The rest of that stuff is somebody else's solution, but these are the solutions we can present. And part of it is alternative commerce. If you only know how to do commerce with dollars and cents, you are at a disadvantage, and you're gonna have a hard time leading us in any kind of life crisis if you don't have the skills to be able to do that. And that's part of what some of these initiatives are. Let's take that out the box. Does it make it completely free? No, you got to buy a plane ticket and have a passport to be able to get here and some spending money. But what if we could give some people a specially curated group for reasons that I have and I can go into, but it would take a whole nother time. But how do we help some people that we feel are a good investment? A whole lot of reasons say women, and specifically Black women, are strategically the best investment if we're going to find leaders to help us shift this paradigm.
Yes. So no wasted time. No wasted time.com is where they go for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. There's so much to think about. I really appreciate that.
Of course, friends, we've linked to nowastedtime.com in the description of the video, and some other resources from LaRahna and from her intentional community, from her whole initiative. We also want to point you to Exodus Summit. We want to point you to Exodus Summit because we've talked about a two-pronged approach, right? Going someplace new, and healing. LaRahna's got the healing covered for you. Okay. If you need the starting point for your actual move abroad, Exodus Summit 2024 is the place that you will want to be. Okay. Exodus Summit 2024 is our online conference. It's happening October 11th to 14th. If you're watching this after that time, you still go to the description, go to the link in the description, and you can probably watch some replays. You can definitely watch some replays. Yes. We bring together Black women who are who teach you to take those steps that you need to move abroad, whether it's the first steps or the intermediate steps or the final steps to getting yourself and your family abroad, particularly if you want to make a quick exit. If your health, if your peace of mind depends on you being out of the United States, which is how we live. The three of us, none of us is in the US right now, right? You hear our accents, you know that's where we were, but that's not where we are right now, because our peace of mind, our safety, our health, our freedom, our time freedom, our freedom period dependent on it. So we've put together, Exodus Summit is a place where women come to learn how to make their exit from the United States. Mm-hmm. We want to point you to both of these resources. The healing is crucial because, as LaRahna said, we're in places that are super peaceful now and so good and feeding us and healing us, restoring us. You need to come here with the healing work already begun. Okay, so that's why we're talking about the two-pronged approach. Make sure that you check the description, the links in the description of this video, so that you can get these resources for yourself.
I have a third.
Okay, please.
I'm now a co-instigator. LaRahna said that, and I'm like, oh, that's my title now. I am a co-instigator of Exodus Summit. I want to say that if you heard LaRahna talking about Ecuador, you heard her talking about how she chose where she wanted to go, and you're not sure what the right place for you is. You're not sure where to start. We've got a tool for that. We have a quiz that we're linking in the description that will help you figure out a place that could be good for you. It may not be the final place, because I'm a real vibe person. I got to go step into a place and know whether, like LaRahna said, whether I feel it here. Does this feel like this is home? Right. We're going to give you some places to think about and say, start here. This might be your home. It meets all of your needs, because a lot of times, you have a list of things that you want in the city you go to. Like LaRahna didn't want to be hot. We got you covered in that quiz. We're not going to send you to a hot place if you don't want to be in a hot place. And so in the description, there is a link to our Exodus Summit quiz. What's the best place for you to go? It's tailored just for you. So check it out. Yes. Get there. Get some hints, and anyone can take the quiz. It's open to everybody. And it's kind of a little jump start before the summit starts. It'll get you ready and get some ideas in your head before you come to Exodus Summit in October, which, if you're thinking about moving abroad and you're a Black woman, you should be at. You should be there.
You should be there. LaRahna, you mentioned that you got to Ecuador and you had already made community. You already had community with people online. How did you do that?
Facebook. lots of expat groups. And let me tell you, expat people are helpful because they got the time and they feel good. They are helpful like the grapevine. This is like expat living is totally grapevine. I found interest groups. I found Cuenca expat, Ecuador expat, moving abroad, Black women moving abroad, solo travelers. I started joining. I started getting involved. I started telling people about what my interests were. That's how Francine linked me to a man that was in the scuba industry, the man with the eco village. Like, this is a random older white lady in Augusta, Georgia. What she know about Ecuador? Come to find out, instigator, you know, add a little water to a seed that was already, you know, trying to germinate.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of it has been that it's been not having the fear to get involved with people who are Ecuadorian here, because expats sometimes do that. You segregate yourself, and you. I know there's soups that are assigned to certain holidays, and you only notice if you hang with the locals, because some of them take like 3 days to make, you know, or the bread babies, or the part of the richness is about having local friends that say, my grandparents grow this coffee and roast this coffee. Would you like some? You said you like coffee. You said your grandparents grew this? No machine has touched this. Excuse me, they grew it. Built a fire and roasted it and then ground it by hand. And you giving me a half gallon of this premium coffee.
Yes.
So it's getting over those fears and then finding people that want to do parts of life with you.
Yes.
I like friends that play. That's why I go see them on Fridays at Frisbee Friday. I got art friends that like music. That's how I get to the Afro Beats concert or the blues concert that make you think like you in Memphis, Tennessee. I said, where am I at? And this was $5. Woo! Okay. You just get past your fears and decide what you want.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of getting past your fears, I think this is the last question we have time for, so I'm going to take it. You mentioned earlier that the woman you met with the lawnmower lived in Ecuador for years, but she went home because her husband needed medical care. I want to touch on that just to make sure I'm understanding everything that's happening. Have you needed medical care in Cuenca? Is it available? Like, without getting into her business, I want to know if everybody has to go back to the U.S. for medical care.
So major things, if paying cash is real. If you go to the hospital, you better be able to pay for it. Having insurance is one of the ways to help you, but insurance is insurance. I don't care where you go. I have health insurance now. That was a whole hurdle of learning to be able to understand what you need, and it's speculative. But I also wanted to see what would happen if I didn't. We have a medical school here. There's a medical clinic. For $7, I can go to a generalist. For $10, I can go to a specialist. No insurance. No, nothing. Walk in off the street and be able to do that. My dental care, braces, all of those are things that are super affordable to be able to do. I wanted the extra assurance though. And so I have insurance. Some expats pay cash. That causes me some concern if something major were to happen, because moving money in between countries is difficult. And if something were to happen to me, having my children be able to move the monies to, you know, like pay for a hospital visit or an emergency visit if you're not capacitated to be able to handle that. And so it's something that you really need to pay attention to, because oftentimes, even if you have insurance back in the States, it may not cover here. And you've got to be prepared to have credit card or savings money that's accessible to be able to do that, like before you leave the hospital. If you were to have a major catastrophic kinds of things. His situation was a catastrophic kind of medical situation where, you know, you get stabilized, but it's going to be lots of care to be able to balance it out. And so it adds up, even though it's very affordable. If you have to continue that care, it could be very expensive and eat through your savings if that's what you're living on. So those are critical factors to think about. If you're traveling on vacation, round trip tickets are one of the ways so that you can get insurance. The travel insurance isn't just about missed flights. Travel insurance is so if you out somewhere snorkeling or scuba diving and they need to life flight you somewhere, you got something that gives you some additional financial support, healthcare, or access to it, and some coverage for it. So insurance is one of those just real life things that you need to consider, unless you've got, you know, the independent income to be able to handle that financially.
And before I let you go, one last follow-up question. How much, do you mind sharing how much you're paying per month for health? Like, are they U.S.
Sure.
numbers for health insurance, or
Yeah, the U.S. numbers? I have two coverages. One's the small plan and one's the catastrophic plan. And I pay about it's right under $120 a month for both of those combined.
Okay, but it's not like U.S. paying for U.S. medical, you know what I mean? How that's kind of crazy if you pay out of pocket. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit better than that. Like your co-pays would be, $8 for an appointment. So it's not much different than the cash pay that I pay using that particular health system, but it's big stuff. Everything else you typically would pay out of pocket. But it's like $100 a year deductible. So it's really low deductible kind of coverage. So it's insurance.
Thank you for sharing all that information with us. We really appreciate you, LaRahna.
My pleasure.
Such a great chat. I'm so excited. Yes. All right, people, you heard it here first. Cuenca, Ecuador is something to think about. Checking out LaRahna's intentional healing communities, something to think about. Links are below. Exodus Summit. I hope you already have your ticket. If you don't, click on the link, because we're making moves. We're making moves. If you haven't already moved, we got places for you. There are places in the world where you will feel more whole than you do where you are right now. And we want that for you. So thank you for being here, and thank you for watching this video.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the invitation to come and share. Thank you for the platform to be able to share this further.
Thank you, LaRahna.
Our pleasure. So nice to talk to you.
Yes.
Anything else, just reach out anytime. I'm here chilling and relaxing.